It's no secret that the rental market has gone completely bananas over the past few months. Tenants are now experiencing what buyers were going through in 2021 and early 2022. So much demand for not enough housing, which drives prices up. The average price for a 2-bedroom condo in Toronto rose 24% to $3,353 in October. And keep in mind, that's all of Toronto. That number is around $3,650 per month if only looking at the downtown core. To put that into perspective, that's roughly the same price or even a little more than the monthly mortgage payment one may have on a 2-bedroom condo with 20% down. Now, I know what you're thinking. There are additional costs such as maintenance fees, taxes, possible utilities, and a few others when the property is owned. However, the comparison I just went through is between the rent payment and the mortgage payment. It's not often that an owner pays less monthly than a tenant would for the exact same property unless the owner puts forward a significant down payment. So what's going on here? Because tenants need answers and recommendations on how to navigate this incredibly tricky market. A lot of the time for tenants, this is their first real estate transaction. And if you've ever bought, sold, or leased a home in the past, you'll know it's a fairly daunting experience, so you can imagine what a first-time renter is thinking in this market. Welcome to my channel where I talk about everything real estate related in Canada with a focus on the city of Toronto. My name is Macallum and I am the leader and manager of a 39-agent real estate team here in the city of Toronto. We specialize in residential resale, pre-construction, as well as leasing. If you gain even an ounce of value from this video, please like, subscribe, and click the bell button to be notified when I release another video. I want to be a resource for those seeking answers, and the more you interact with my videos, the better the YouTube algorithm will work for me and push this type of content to others like yourself looking to learn. And if you're a buyer, tenant, or a seller looking to chat more, you can go to the description in this video where you can book a buyer consultation, a listing consultation, or just a general call to chat about the real estate market. Let's answer the question of why are rents rising? We all know that rents are rising because that's all the media can talk about right now. Well, along with interest rates, of course. But it's good to know why it's actually happening. And I think I can answer this question with merely 2 words, and that's rising rates. As interest rates rise, fewer buyers are able to purchase, which puts additional pressure on the rental inventory. Would-be buyers are pushed towards renting for the first time or continuing to rent when rates rise beyond what the buyer can afford. This is a very interesting point because the would-be buyers who are now looking to rent likely have higher incomes than a typical renter because they were once in the market to buy a property. We also have younger individuals looking to rent who actually have excess cash. And I'm realizing that's not something we say very frequently now that I've said it out loud, but it is true. I personally know people who were, and some still are, living at their family homes while saving for a down payment. They had a plan to purchase and move out by a certain date. However, with this purchase no longer being an option, but still wanting to move out, the would-be buyer who is now flush with cash has more money to spend on rent. And to cap off the question of why are rents rising, we have landlords simply just increasing the rental rates in a 100% legal way, just to be clear. Rents do not skyrocket overnight after one landlord increases the rent. It takes time and the market to react. When a tenant moves out, that frees up a rental property, even if they're going to another rental. However, that tenant may have been paying, let's say, $2,000 a month, but today the property is worth $2,500 a month. You can bet the landlord isn't going to list the property for $2,000. They're going to list it for market value or more. And what's even crazier is non-rent controlled buildings. Properties built after November 2018 are not subject to the government maximum rental increase percentage. What that is each year the government says to landlords, you can only increase the rent by X% this year, which the landlord may or may not do. With buildings developed after November 2018, that rule does not apply. So if there's a tenant in a non-rent control building paying $2,000 per month and the property is now worth $2,500 a month, it doesn't take the tenant leaving for the landlord to increase the rent. It just takes the tenant's term to expire, and then the landlord can tell the tenant, hey, we're going to increase your rent to $2,500 a month. Unfortunately, a lot of tenants don't know non-rent control buildings even exist. So if you're a tenant looking to rent, make sure you know when the building was developed, because that can drastically change your future rental rate. Now we have the question of, what is making it so difficult to rent today? And yes, of course, it's the increased competition. But there's another thing, and that's increased landlord cautiousness. A term that has been making headlines in the media lately is professional tenant. This is someone who knowingly falsifies rental, employment, and financial documents to improve their application to secure the property, and then doesn't pay the landlord the rent. However, they stay in the property. They take advantage of the system and long delays at the landlord-tenant board to actually get free housing. This means the landlord is not getting paid for the product they are providing. A lot of landlords are so cautious when it comes to selecting their tenant in fear of going months without rental income. I was working with a tenant not long ago who had an amazing application, and the listing broker even recognized that. However, the landlord wouldn't lease the property to my client. The landlord even denied the 10 applicants before my client for the exact same reasons. This forced 11 total tenants to go somewhere else for housing and possibly pay more because they may be running out of time to find a property. We'll wrap this video up with my recommendations for tenants looking to find a rental property in this market. 1. Work with a good realtor who knows what they're doing. That's just a pretty obvious tip. 2. Have all your rental documents ready to go. So your employment letter, pay stubs, rental application, and your credit score. Ensure every single one of those documents is 100% correct and there is no missing information. 3. See properties as soon as they hit the market and make a bid pretty quickly. 4. Research your areas and buildings. Really evaluate each individual listing online before you see it in person to determine if it's worth your time. 5. Focus on properties which match not only your criteria and of course your budget, but also your moving timeline. If a listing has an immediate possession, the chances of being able to negotiate a 2-month closing in this market is pretty slim. So focus on other properties which match your timeline. Thank you for sticking with me through this video. If you learned something new, please hit the like button and consider subscribing.